The Nalvak science vessel drifted silently in orbit around the blue-green planet. This uncharted world showed signs of life, but the aquatic scientists aboard had not expected to find anything as advanced as the creature now lying unconscious in their laboratory. Chief Scientist Tae-ho moved closer to the examination table, his webbed fingers hovering over scanning equipment. His large eyes blinked sideways as he studied the readings. "The specimen appears to be a female of the species," he noted to his assistant. "Bipedal, with internal skeletal structure and fascinating neural activity." Science Officer Ji-un adjusted the stasis field. "Should we attempt communication when it awakens, Chief?" "Unnecessary," Tae-ho replied, his gill slits pulsing with excitement. "This is clearly a primitive species. Look at their craft, barely capable of planetary exploration. They pose no threat to our research." The human woman lay still on the table. Her name was Dr. Sumin, though the aliens couldn't read the name patch on her torn exploration suit. The Nalvak had found her collecting soil samples near her small research vessel and had stunned her before she could react. "Begin the primary research protocol," Tae-ho ordered. "The High Council will be most pleased with our discovery." Ji-un hesitated. "Chief, our scanners detect unusual energy readings from the subject's neural tissue. Perhaps we should—" "Your concerns are noted," Tae-ho cut her off. "But this is the first human specimen ever captured. We must extract maximum knowledge." The surgical team assembled quickly. The Nalvak, with their advanced medical technology, considered themselves the most sophisticated species in their known galaxy. They had studied dozens of alien species, always learning, always cataloging weaknesses and strengths. "We will begin with limb removal to study regenerative capacity," Tae-ho announced. "The left upper appendage will be sufficient." Ship Captain Sang-mi entered the laboratory, her ceremonial rank bands glowing softly in the dim light. "Is this wise, Tae-ho? We know nothing of their civilization. Their technology is primitive," Tae-ho insisted. "They haven't even mastered basic dimensional travel. What threat could they pose?" The surgical laser hummed to life. With precision, the Nalvak surgeons severed Sumin's left arm at the shoulder. They sealed the wound immediately, preventing blood loss while leaving the nerve endings exposed for further study. "Remarkable tissue density," the surgeon commented. "Unlike any species we've encountered." Tae-ho nodded approvingly. "Place the limb in biostasis. We'll compare regeneration rates with other species in our database." Several hours later, as the ship continued its orbit, alarms sounded in the medical bay. "The subject is regaining consciousness," Ji-un reported. "Vital signs are stabilizing, but unusual electrical activity in the brain." Tae-ho hurried to observe as Sumin's eyes fluttered open. The human woman blinked several times, disoriented by the strange lights and unfamiliar faces surrounding her. "She appears calm," Tae-ho noted with satisfaction. "As expected from a less evolved species." But when Sumin turned her head and saw the empty space where her left arm had been, her reaction was not what the Nalvak anticipated. Instead of panic or distress, her face hardened with resolve. "You really shouldn't have done that," she said, quietly, speaking in her own language. The Nalvak's translation systems processed her words, but they dismissed them as meaningless threats. "The specimen is attempting communication," Ji-un observed. "Perhaps we should—" "Continue with the research protocols," Tae-ho interrupted. "Prepare neural probes for the next phase." What the Nalvak didn't notice was Sumin's right hand slowly moving toward her mouth. With subtle movements, she activated an emergency beacon hidden in a false molar. Advanced technology the alien scanners had failed to detect. The tiny quantum transmitter sent its signal instantaneously across vast distances, bypassing conventional space. The message was simple: coordinates and a distress code that conveyed everything Earth's defense forces needed to know. Captain Sang-mi left the laboratory, troubled by something she couldn't quite identify. Standing on the command deck, she gazed at the small human craft they had captured alongside its pilot. "Run a deeper scan on that vessel," she ordered suddenly. The technician complied. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual material composition. It appears The craft may be more advanced than we initially. His words were cut short as new alarms blared across the ship. Multiple dimensional ruptures forming, the sensor operator shouted. Objects emerging from hyperspace. Sang-Mi's fins flared in, surprise. Impossible! This species doesn't have that technology. On the medical deck, Su-min smiled faintly as she felt the subtle vibration of arriving ships. The Nalvak had made a fatal mistake. They had judged humanity by what they could see, not understanding that Earth's explorers were sent out with hidden capabilities and powerful friends. In the void of space around them, 7 massive warships materialized, their weapon systems already powering up. The alarms blared across the Nalvak vessel as 7 massive human warships surrounded them. On the command deck, Captain Sang-Mi's fins rippled with anxiety as the main screen activated, showing the face of Admiral Do-hyun. His expression remained calm, but his eyes burned with controlled fury. Nalvak vessel, this is Admiral Do-hyun of the Earth Defense Fleet. Return our scientist immediately and surrender your vessel. Captain Sang-Mi straightened her posture, trying to project confidence she didn't feel. Your demands are meaningless. Our shields and weapons far exceed your capabilities. The specimen remains ours for study. Do-hyun's expression didn't change. You were warned. You have 30 seconds to comply. Chief Scientist Tae-ho rushed onto the command deck. Captain, how did they find us so quickly? How did they even get here? Their technology appears more advanced than our intelligence suggested, Sang-Mi replied, her voice tight with concern. The tactical officer looked up from his console. Captain, their weapons are powering up. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Activate all shields. Prepare main cannons, Sang-Mi ordered. Show these primitives the power of Nalvak technology. The 30 seconds passed. The human ships didn't communicate again. Instead, beams of swirling blue energy lanced out from the smallest human vessel, bypassing the Nalvak shields completely. Impossible, Tae-ho gasped as the deck shuddered beneath them. Our shields are the most advanced in the sector. The tactical officer's voice shook. They're using some form of phase-shifted particles. Our shields can't block them. More weapons fire followed, precise, calculated, and devastating. The humans weren't trying to destroy the Nalvak ship. They were disabling it methodically. In the medical bay, Su-min felt the impacts. Despite her pain, she smiled. Earth's response had been swift and overwhelming, just as she knew it would be. The Nalvak had made a critical error in their assessment of human capabilities. Science Officer Ji-eun entered the medical bay, moving quickly. The humans have come for you, she said, her voice low. Not all of us agreed with what was done to you. Before Su-min could respond, the lights flickered and emergency systems activated. On the command deck, chaos reigned. Engine core destabilizing, weapons offline, reported the systems officer. Captain Sang-Mi stared at the screen in disbelief. In less than 5 minutes, their supposedly superior vessel had been crippled. They're boarding us, the security chief announced. Multiple breaches on decks 3 through 7. Tae-ho backed away from the viewing screen. This is impossible. They can't have this level of technology. Our intelligence reports were clearly wrong. Sang-Mi cut him off. Prepare the self-destruct sequence. We cannot allow our research to fall into their hands. Before she could activate the protocol, the doors to the command deck slid open. Human soldiers in sleek combat suits entered, weapons raised. Their helmets concealed their faces, making them look almost mechanical. This vessel is now under Earth jurisdiction, announced their leader. Resistance will be met with force. Meanwhile, another team of humans had reached the medical bay. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing the area before approaching Su-min. Dr. Su-min, we're here to bring you home, said the team leader, removing her helmet to reveal a woman with short black hair and determined eyes. I'm Commander Sunhai, can you move? Su-min nodded weakly. They took my arm. Sunhai's expression hardened. We know. The Admiral is personally overseeing retrieval of all biological materials. Back on the command deck, Admiral Do-hyun had arrived. He surveyed the captured Nalvak officers with cold calculation. "You believed us primitive," he said simply. "A common mistake made by species who judge solely by what they can see." Captain Sang-mi stood defiant. "This act of aggression will not go unanswered. The Nalvak Empire controls 12 star systems. Our fleet will hopefully be wiser than you were," Do-hyun interrupted. "We hide our true capabilities because we value peace. But make no mistake, we will defend our people." As Dr. Su-min was escorted to the human flagship, she paused to look at Ji-un, who had helped her in those final moments. "Tell your leaders," Su-min said quietly, "that next time they should ask before they take." Within hours, the Nalvak vessel had been thoroughly searched. The humans recovered Su-min's severed arm and all research data before allowing the crippled ship to limp away. As they departed, Taeho's final transmission reached the Nalvak homeworld. "The humans are not what we thought. They hide their true power. We have awakened something terrible." The Nalvak High Council gathered in their grand chamber, a vast underwater dome filled with swirling bioluminescent lights. Supreme Leader Yoonji's fins trembled with rage as she reviewed the reports of their science vessel's defeat. "This is an outrage," she declared, her voice echoing through the water. "These humans disabled our advanced ship and humiliated our crew. They must be taught their place in the cosmic order." Political advisor Hyun-woo moved forward cautiously. "Supreme Leader, perhaps we should reconsider. Our intelligence on human capabilities was clearly flawed. They possess technology we didn't anticipate. One lucky encounter does not make them our equals." Yoonji dismissed him with a wave of her webbed hand. "Prepare the battle fleet. We will capture an entire human settlement and show them the true might of the Nalvak Empire." Hyun-woo tried. Again. "The humans only attacked after we took one of their kind. Their response was measured. They could have destroyed our vessel but chose not to." His words fell on deaf ears. The council had already made their decision. Within days, 30 Nalvak warships departed their homeworld, heading toward the human colony of New Haven. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Su-min stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her empty sleeve pinned neatly to her uniform. The regeneration process for her arm would take months using Earth's most advanced technology. "The Nalvak believe themselves superior to all other species," she explained. "They collect specimens from worlds they consider primitive, never expecting consequences." Admiral Do-hyun nodded gravely. "Our deep space sensors have detected a large fleet leaving Nalvak space. They appear to be heading toward New Haven colony." Su-min wasn't surprised. "They can't accept that we challenged them. Their entire culture is built on a hierarchy of species." "Then we'll have to adjust their worldview," the Admiral replied. "New Haven is ready." What the Nalvak didn't know was that New Haven, while appearing to be a small farming colony, was actually Earth's most heavily defended outpost. Its simple buildings and fields concealed a vast underground military complex and the latest planetary defense systems. As the Nalvak fleet dropped out of hyperspace near New Haven, Supreme Commander Jin-ho smiled in satisfaction. "Look at this. Pathetic settlement. No orbital defenses, no warships. Begin landing procedures and prepare collection teams." His tactical officer frowned at his instruments. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures below the surface. Perhaps we should conduct more scans before—" "Unnecessary," Jin-ho interrupted. "These are farmers and researchers. Begin the assault." The first wave of Nalvak ships descended toward the planet's surface. They were halfway through the atmosphere when hundreds of concealed defense platforms activated, launching swarms of tiny drones. "What are these?" Jin-ho demanded as the small objects surrounded his ships. "Some kind of primitive missiles." Before anyone could answer, the drones attached themselves to the Nalvak vessel's hulls and activated. Suddenly, the ship's gravity systems failed, communications went dark, and engines shut down. "They're technology disruptors." "The science," officer shouted in alarm. "They're neutralizing our systems." Unable to maintain flight, 5 Nalvak ships crashed into the empty plains outside the colony. The remaining ships in the first wave managed to retreat to a higher orbit, but the damage was done. On the Nalvak flagship, Jinho watched in disbelief as a transmission came through from the planet's surface. The face of a human woman appeared. On screen, Dr. Sumin, now fitted with a sleek black prosthetic arm that hummed with energy. "This is your only warning," she said calmly. "Return to your homeworld. We have no desire for war, but we will defend ourselves." Jinho's pride wouldn't allow retreat. "Launch all remaining ships. We will not be defeated by a species that only recently learned to leave their own planet." But as the second wave moved to attack, the real surprise was revealed. From behind, New Haven's moon, a dozen Earth battleships emerged from hiding. They weren't the same design as the rescue ships that had confronted the science vessel. These were larger, more ominous, clearly built for war. "Impossible," Jinho whispered as his tactical display filled with enemy contacts. "They couldn't have built a fleet this size without our knowledge." Back on the Nalvac homeworld, Hyunwoo received the first desperate transmissions from the battle. He rushed to the High Council chamber, determination in his eyes. Someone had to make them understand before it was too late. "The humans have defeated our first assault wave," he announced to the shocked council. "They were prepared. They have technology we've never seen before." Supreme Leader Yunji's face darkened. "Then we will send our entire fleet. We cannot allow a lesser species to challenge the Nalvac Empire." Hyunwoo shook his head sadly. "By the time our fleet arrives, it may already be too late." The news of the Nalvac defeat spread quickly through the galactic community. On the bustling trade hub of Galactic Central, ambassadors from 24 species gathered in emergency session. The massive council chamber buzzed with urgent conversations, as holographic displays showed footage of the battle at New Haven. Ambassador Kaite of the Galactic Conclave pounded his ceremonial staff for order. "We have confirmed reports that the Nalvac battle group suffered severe losses against a previously unclassified species called humans. This requires our immediate attention." The gathered representatives fell silent, many seeing humans for the first time in the battle recordings. Counselor Hajun, a respected elder known for his analytical mind, stepped forward. "For centuries, the Nalvac have claimed dominance in their sector. They have catalogued thousands of species as inferior. Yet these humans defeated 30 of their warships in a single engagement." "Perhaps the reports are exaggerated," suggested the ambassador from the Torque Collective, a longtime Nalvac trading partner. "No emerging species could possess such technology." Hajun gestured to the central display. "The evidence is clear. The humans employed phase-shifting technology we believed theoretical. Their weapons bypassed Nalvac shields as if they didn't exist." On the outer rim of the chamber, several representatives from aggressive empires whispered among themselves. If the Nalvac were vulnerable, perhaps there were opportunities to exploit. Meanwhile, on the Nalvac homeworld, Supreme Leader Yunji called for their ultimate weapon to be prepared. In a secret facility deep beneath the ocean floor, engineers activated the stellar manipulator, a device capable of inducing solar flares or even collapse a star. "We will target the human home system," she declared. "They have left us no choice." Chief Engineer Min-Su looked alarmed. "Supreme Leader, this weapon has never been used on an inhabited system. The casualties would be irrelevant." Yunji cut him off. "The humans must be eliminated before other species question our superiority." The massive device hidden inside what appeared to be a simple asteroid was deployed toward Earth's solar system. Using dimensional technology, it would arrive within days. But the humans had been watching. Earth's deep space monitoring network detected the unusual energy signature the moment the weapon activated. In a secure command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Do-hyun reviewed the data with Dr. Sumin, whose new prosthetic arm now glowed with blue energy. "They're sending something massive toward our sun," she said, analyzing the readings. "Energy patterns suggest it's designed to trigger a solar event." Do-hyun nodded grimly. "They mean to destroy our entire system rather than accept defeat. Deploy Operation Sunshield." Across Earth, hundreds of small, specialized ships launched into space. They weren't warships, but carried technology the Nalvac couldn't comprehend. The ability to create localized space-time bubbles that could contain and redirect energy. When the Nalvac weapon arrived and positioned itself near the sun, its operators were confused to find hundreds of human vessels already waiting in a spherical formation around the star. "Begin stellar destabilization," ordered the Nalvac commander. "Full power." The weapon fired, sending a concentrated beam of exotic particles into the sun's core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the sun's surface began to ripple as massive flares formed. But instead of erupting outward toward the planets, the solar energy was captured by the network of human ships. The containment field they generated glowed brilliantly as it absorbed the tremendous power. On the Nalvac homeworld, Yunji watched with growing horror as the weapons operators reported the unexpected development. "Impossible. They're containing a stellar event?" Political advisor Hyunwoo stepped forward. "The humans could redirect this energy to our homeworld. They have the coordinates from our earlier attack." Before Yunji could respond, a transmission cut through their communications. Admiral Do-hyun's face appeared on the main screen. "We have contained your attack," he said simply. "We could send this energy back to your homeworld. We choose not to. This is your final chance for peace." Throughout the galaxy, other species watched the confrontation with new understanding. The humans, far from being the primitive species the Nalvac had described, possessed technology that bordered on the miraculous. In the Galactic Conclave chamber, Counselor Ha-Jun turned to the assembled representatives. "I believe it is time we formally invited human representatives to join our discussions. Any species that can contain a star's fury deserves our respect." 6 months after the near-catastrophic solar attack, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Conclave hummed with tension. Representatives from 37 species gathered to witness the historic peace treaty signing between humans and the Nalvac. Dr. Su-min walked slowly down the central aisle, feeling the weight of countless alien eyes upon her. She had been chosen as Earth's representative for this moment, a fitting choice as her suffering had sparked the conflict. At the center of the hall stood Hyunwoo, now the interim leader of the Nalvac. The previous regime had collapsed after the failed solar attack, with moderate factions seizing control from Supreme Leader Yunji and her war council. "The galaxy watches us today," Hyunwoo began, his voice carrying across the silent hall. "What began with a terrible mistake nearly ended in destruction for both our peoples." Su-min stepped forward. Without ceremony, she reached up and detached her advanced prosthetic arm. The sleek black device, filled with Earth's most advanced technology, made a soft click as it disconnected. She placed it on the table between them. "I could have demanded your extinction as payment for what you took from me," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Instead, I offer partnership. What you sought through cruelty could have been gained through cooperation." A young Nalvac scientist named Jin-ho approached the table. He had been part of the opposition movement that had helped overthrow Yunji's government. "On behalf of our Science Council, I extend our deepest regrets," he said. "The violation of your bodily autonomy was unforgivable. Our arrogance blinded us to your true nature and potential." The treaty before them contained more than just peace terms. It established protocols for scientific exchange, cultural understanding, and joint exploration efforts. Most importantly, it created strict ethical guidelines for contact with all sentient species. As Su-min and Hyunwoo pressed their palms to the document, activating the quantum signature protocols, a soft glow spread through the hall. The treaty was sealed. 1 year later, Su-min stood in a medical lab on Earth, watching as Jin-ho carefully adjusted equipment. Around them, a mixed team of human and Nalvac scientists worked side by side. "Are you ready?" Jin-ho asked, looking up from his instruments. Su-min nodded. She sat in the treatment chair and extended her left arm, a new biological limb, grown using combined Nalvac and human regenerative technologies. The arm looked fully human but contained subtle neural enhancements developed through their partnership. "The final calibration sequence should complete the neural mapping," Jin-ho explained. "You should have full sensation and control." As the machine hummed to life, Su-min felt tingling warmth spreading through her new fingers. Slowly, carefully, she closed her hand into a fist, then opened it again. Tears welled in her eyes as she felt the texture of her own palm. "It works," she whispered. Jinho nodded, his own eyes showing emotion. "This technology will help millions across both our worlds. From your suffering came healing for countless others." Later that evening, they stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed diplomatic exchange station in Earth orbit. Below them, the blue planet shone brilliantly, while ships from a dozen alien civilizations docked at the station's many ports. "The Conclave has approved our joint application for the Deep Space Exploration Initiative," Jinho said. "Our teams will map the outer reaches together." Sumin flexed her new hand, still marveling at the sensation. Sometimes losing something leads to gaining something greater. Jinho looked thoughtful. "Our historians are still trying to understand how one small action, the taking of a single limb, nearly led to our extinction." "It wasn't about the arm," Sumin replied. "It was about respect, about recognizing that appearance doesn't determine worth or capability." Around them, the station buzzed with activity as humans and aliens worked together, traded knowledge, and built connections. From a terrible beginning had come something beautiful, a new understanding that would shape galactic relations for centuries to come. Far away, in a secure facility on the Nalvak homeworld, workers dismantled the stellar manipulator piece by piece. Its components would be repurposed for the joint exploration fleet, weapons of destruction transformed into tools of discovery. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but today at least, two species had found a better path forward, together.